I'd like to call the May 3rd, 2021 meeting of the City Council for the City of Lake City. If everyone would stand, we're going to pass on the Pledge of Allegiance for a few moments, but I'll do the invocation. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for your many blessings. We thank you for your guidance during our deliberations, and that what we do is pleasing in your eyes, and that our community is better for the decisions we make, and what we do is for the betterment of all citizens. We ask that you look after our troops, our first responders, our law enforcement, and in your name we pray. Amen. Amen. Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Sampson?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Hill?
Here.
Mr. Jefferson?
Here.
Mayor Witt?
Here.
Mr. Coberline?
Here.
Mr. Helpenberger?
Here.
Chief Gilmore?
Okay, at this time, we have a proclamation titled Municipal Clerks Week, May 2nd through the 8th. Whereas the office of municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world, and whereas the office of municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the office of municipal clerk provides professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. Municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal services to all. And whereas the municipal clerk serves at the information center on the function of local government and community. And whereas municipal clerks continue to strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of this office of the municipal clerk. Therefore, I, Stephen M. Witt, Mayor of the City of Lake City, Florida, do hereby recognize the week of May 2nd through the 8th, 2021 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Audrey Sykes, and to all municipal clerks for their vital services that they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. Ms. Sykes, if you'll come up for a presentation. The Lake City Council has opened its public meeting since 1968. Since 1968, the city code has prohibited any person from making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks or becoming boisterous while addressing the city council. Yelling or making audible comments from the audience constitutes boisterous conduct. Such conduct will not be tolerated. There's only one approved manner of addressing the city council, that is to be recognized and then speak from the podium. Okay, no minutes. Approval of the agenda. We have a group from CHS doing parliamentary procedure coached by our city attorney, Mr. Coberline, and I do have a walk-on of a grant for the airport, and I'd like to make that item 12 on the resolutions. With that, is there a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
And a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Reed and her students if they'd like to come up, and the council will let them use our chairs.
This meeting of the Columbia County Planning Committee will now come to order. Commissioner Tenner, will you please guide us to the Pledge of Allegiance? Commissioner Stewart, will you please call roll?
Yes, Chair. Madam Chairman,
Present.
Commissioner Tenner,
Present.
Commissioner Young,
Present.
Commissioner Walker,
Present.
and I am present as well. So we have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do I motion to approve tonight's agenda as presented?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
I have a motion to approve the agenda and a second. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion carries and the agenda is approved. First on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Commissioner Young, will you please announce the minutes?
The regular meeting of the Columbia County Planning Committee was held on December 19th, 2020 at 7 p.m. at 444 Main Street, Lake City, Florida. Following the roll call of members, the minutes of the last meeting were approved as read. Commissioner Tenner reported a disbursement of $1575 to the Columbia Florist for the annual meeting centerpiece, leaving a balance of $445,562.45 as of December 18th, 2020. The Scholarship Committee report was received from Commissioner Tenner and approved unanimously. The standing committee that was appointed to plan a community Easter event reported its progress, and Madam Chairman moved that each committee member bring a bag of candy to the January, February, and March meetings, all to be contributed to the project. After debate and motion was adopted, the chairman announced the next meeting would be January 22nd at 615 Appleton Way at 7 p.m. The meeting was adjourned at 9:43 p.m.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as read?
I move to approve the minutes.
I second the motion.
Approve of the minutes has been properly moved in second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion carries and the minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is unfinished business. Seeing none, we will move to some new business.
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Stewart?
this board needs to continue moving forward with new events. In that spirit, I move for our next community project to be a community fair.
I second that.
The motion to do a community fair has been properly moved and second. This motion is debatable and requires a majority vote to pass. Is there any discussion?
Madam Chairman,
Commissioner Stewart, you've been noticed.
Madam Chairman, I think it's important for families to have activities they can do together to have a great time. As a mother, I feel it's important to get out of the house once in a while.
Commissioner Walker, I believe I heard you next.
Yes, I believe this fair will really be beneficial for the community, and we can use the funds generated to create more community activities.
Commissioner Tenner, you may speak now.
Not only will this boost our funds, but it will also bring tourists from different districts to see the fair.
Is there any more discussion? Would the public like to comment? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion carries. This matter will be sent under old business for our next meeting for further action. Is there any more new business?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Young?
we need more things for our young people of our city to do. Skating is a fun activity that many young people seem to enjoy. With that in mind, I move that we should build a skate park inside the county park.
I second.
It has been properly moved and second that we should build a skate park inside the county park. This motion is debatable and requires a majority vote to pass. Is there any discussion?
Madam
Madam
Chairman.
Chairman.
Commissioner Young?
Madam Chairman, as I briefly brought up before, this would be a good resource for the youth who want something fun to do.
Commissioner Stewart, you may proceed.
Madam Chairman, as a mother of children, I believe it's important to have activities for children to keep them busy, in case the mother is unable to provide entertainment. My children love skating, and I think a park like this is something they could really benefit from.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Walker, what do you have to say?
Well, this board has never been in favor of creating new children's activities, and I don't see why we would start that now. I mean, a park like this is going to cost money that we don't have, and I will not vote for something that we just can't afford to do.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Is there any more discussion?
Madam Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Tenor?
Madam Chairman, I feel that our city's youth deserve a place where they feel welcome and can.
I feel that,
Commissioner Walker, you are talking out of turn. Commissioner Tenor, please proceed.
Madam Chairman, as I was saying, I feel this would give our city's youth a place where they can hang out with their friends. We just don't have the right now, and the cost, whatever they may be, are worth it.
Is there any more discussion?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Walker?
the only thing I see this skate park doing is bringing noise, the noise level through the roof around here. And I know that many of our citizens in the town just agree with me, and they would be upset about this. And it doesn't make any sense for the county park or the people who live nearby. We're making a big mistake if we move forward with this.
Thank you, Commissioner Walker. Is there any more discussion?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Young, you are recognized.
Madam Chairman, I'm gonna have to disagree with Commissioner Walker. This wouldn't be a major issue because our city can enforce laws that regulate the amount of noise this park might create. No one is suggesting that we create a nuisance for anyone. This is just a place for kids to recreate and have fun, no different than basketball courts or baseball fields. It's also entirely possible that this could make more families want to move to Lake City. And isn't that something we all want?
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, let's open the floor to the public. Is there any discussion from the public?
Madam Chairman?
Yes, ma'am. Please state your name for our record.
Yes, ma'am. I strongly believe this is no way to entertain our children of today. Now, youth of today have become so bold, more active. I believe by encouraging the state, we just got it on to that behavior. This will be noisy and bad kids will come in. We don't need that. The bad kids will come out and say what and kill one another and bring up drugs and I can't do it. This is too much. I'm not happy.
Dude, skating is totally rad and awesome. We should totally build a skate park.
Sir, you are out of order. You will have your turn to speak. You will not speak when others are being recognized.
No, Miss Chairlady, you'll listen to me.
Sir, I'm instructing you again that you are out of order. If you cannot compose yourself, I will have you removed from these chambers.
What else?
Sir, for the final time, I am telling you that you are out of order. You will take your seat and not say another word until you are recognized, or I will have you escorted out. Sir, you are out of order and impeding the work of this board. Please remove this man from the room.
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Come on, no! Yeah. This will not be the last of Dirtbag Dan. You understand me? You understand me? This will not be the last of Dirtbag Dan.
This is a prime example of these children today.
Ma'am, you are speaking out of line. You have had your time to speak. Is there any more discussion from the public?
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. Please state your name for the record.
My name's Joe, man. Now listen, I understand youth need a place to go nowadays. I understand that, but the skate park, that's too much money. I can't afford that. Them kids gonna go out there and hurt themselves. Who got money to pay for that? I ain't got the money to pay. So you ain't. Madam Chair. I ain't paying for it.
I told you it wasn't the last of their bad dad! I told you! You can never get rid of me! I told you! They're back dead forever! Nothing can stop you from him!
Madam Chairman, this is.
Okay. On that note, should we build a skate park in the county? Should we build a skate park in the county park has been properly moved in second. Will there be any more further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
All those opposed say nay?
Nay.
Nay. This motion fails. That concludes new business for this meeting. Are there any more comments or concerns from the commission?
Madam Chair.
Hearing none, I will entertain the motion that we adjourn.
So moved.
This meeting is adjourned.
Theater teacher at Columbia High School, and I would just like to thank you guys for letting us share this with you today. We want to thank Ms. Coker for inviting my students to learn about parliamentary procedure, participate last week at the Student Business Expo, and we would like to thank Mr. Coberland, the city attorney, for teaching us about parliamentary procedure. We appreciate you all, and we really are in favor of the state farm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all very much. We'll move along. We don't have a consent agenda. Let's persons wishing to address council. I don't have anybody signed up. Anybody present wish to speak? If not, is there anybody on the line wishing to speak? Nobody online? Okay, all right, well then we'll move along. Next is old business. We have ordinances. We are to open a public hearing on city council ordinance number 2020-2174 on final reading. Mr. Coberline, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending Section 102-38 of the City Code to provide for the waiver of impact fees for the development and construction of affordable housing, providing for the repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date, period.
Is there anybody wish to speak for or against this ordinance? If not, then we will close the public hearing, moving to adoption of City Council Ordinance 2020-2174 on final reading.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for approval of City Council Ordinance number 2020-2174.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next, we're to open a public hearing on City Council Ordinance number 2021-2180 on final reading. Mr. Carolina, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending the city code to add a new section number 86-110.16 to Article 3, Chapter 86, which provides for the permanent closing of all of that portion of Northwest Ridge Street lying in Block 122 of the Northern Division of the city, finding that the street was abandoned by the city, finding that the closing of the roadway will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, finding that it is in the best interest of the city and for the general welfare of its citizens to close the roadway, providing for the repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, providing for inclusion into the city code, and providing an effective date period.
Anybody wish to speak for or against this ordinance? If not, we'll close the public hearing and move to adoption of City Council Ordinance number 2021-2180 on final reading.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of ordinance number 2021-2180 on final reading.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion by council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next, we have City Council Ordinance number 2021-2186 on final reading. Mr. Carolina, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Lake City land development regulations as amended, relating to the rezoning of less than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application Z21-01 by the property owners of said acreage, providing for rezoning from commercial general to commercial intensive of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date period.
Anybody wish to speak to City Council Ordinance 2021-2186? We'll close the public hearing, move into adoption of City Council Ordinance 2021-2186 on final reading.
Mr. Mayor, I would move for the adoption of City Council Ordinance 2021-2186.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion by council? Ms. Ox, you call the roll, please.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next, we're to open the public hearing on City Council Ordinance number 2021-2187 on final reading. Mr. Carolina, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending the official zoning atlas of the City of Lake City land development regulations as amended, relating to the rezoning of less than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application Z21-02 by the property owner of said acreage, providing for rezoning from residential single-family 3 to residential office of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing severability, repealing all ordinances in conflict, and providing an effective date period.
Anybody wish to speak to this ordinance? If not, we'll close the public hearing and move into adoption of City Council Ordinance 2021-2187 on final reading.
Mr. Mayor, I move for the adoption of ordinance number 2021-2187 on its final reading.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Discussion by council. Ms. Ox, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. And City Council ordinance number 2021-2189 on final reading to public hearing. Mr. Coberline, would you read that by title?
An ordinance of the City Council of City Lake City, Florida, establishing a temporary moratorium for 180 days related to the issuance of new business tax receipts that are related to activities that include electronic simulated gaming promotions or electronic sweepstakes, accepting renewals of existing business tax receipts, providing for penalties, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date period.
Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this ordinance? Go to the podium and give your name and address for us.
Be Faithful Coker, 636 Southeast Bayer Drive. It may already be established what the council members intend to consider while the moratorium is in effect. So I just encourage you to consider some meaningful ways, whatever you decide the fees will be assessed to the internet cafes, to consider some ways that it can help establish some of the stability that internet cafes create in communities when they're present. So we tend to have higher crime rate. Parents, household adults spend a lot of time at the internet cafes, leaving children home alone for greater periods of time. So as you are contemplating what those fees should be during this period of time, I just encourage you to consider some meaningful ways some of those dollars can be put into the community to help offset some of the demise that's created with the internet cafes.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak to this ordinance? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Moving to adoption of City Council ordinance number 2021-2189 on final reading.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move for the adoption of City Council Ordinance 2021-2189.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I believe that the county may have taken up this issue, and I don't know if Mr. Helfenberger is prepared to speak on it. If he could update the council maybe on what the county's doing.
I have not had a chance to fully research it, but I believe the county is going in the direction of a permanent ban on this.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, although I know we're going to do the moratorium for 180 days, I know that the county's also working on the same thing. So I just kind of want to make sure, maybe not make sure is not the right word, but we just need to stay abreast of what the county's doing. I don't want us to try to go down a different road if we don't have to.
Right.
That's all.
All right, anything else? Ms. Oxley, call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Okay, now we're moving to new business. We have resolutions. First one is City Council Resolution 2021-064. Mr. Coberline, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, amending Resolution 2021-014 to authorize a 5-year lease to purchase agreement with Leasing 2 Incorporated to lease and purchase one VACCON vacuum truck at a maximum 5-year lease price of $437,682.95, period.
Is there a motion as City Council Resolution number 2021-064?
Mr. Mayor, I would move for the approval of Resolution 2021-064.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I also have a question on this. I think that we just did it seems like we just voted for a VACCON truck. So is this a second one, or did something change with the one that we had? voted for previously, or maybe my memory is just off. Mr. Helfenberger.
Yeah, I have Paul address that, but I can say that we have 3 VACON trucks that we've been using. One has given us a lot of problems that we're looking at disposing of. This would be a more versatile truck that could do a lot of different functions. But we have one that helps with the cammering of the sewer lines, and one that we're looking at, the older one getting to the Public Works Department so they can do cleaning out of some of the stormwater lines. But as far as the exact fit here, maybe Mr. Dial could mention it.
To answer your question, Councilman, this is the original VACCON that was discussed back in the original budget back in October that we were wanting to lease instead of outright purchase because of the price on it. We figured we got a better deal for the 5-year lease. At the end, we'll have the option to purchase it outright. It was made more fiscal sense to spend $87,000 a year for a 5-year lease and trying to come up with $400 and some thousand all at one time. But yes, this will add to the fleet that we have. Also be used between us and Public Works, between the storm drains, sewer drains, pumping down our lift stations, any clog, jetting the sewer lines, things of that nature.
Thank you.
Mr. Dow, is this piece of equipment, for lack of a better word, more versatile than the piece that we already have? I mean, in other words, can it do some more things?
This one will be a little bit smaller than the big blue one you see running around town. This one will be a little bit smaller than that, but has a lot more capability than that one has. We're also starting what we have with the camera truck. It is our intention to basically camera every line within the city, both stormwater and sewer lines and anything that we can camera. This truck here will be also assigned to specifically to that endeavor, but also to help out in all the other areas as well for pumping down all of our other lift stations and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you. Anything else by council? Ms. Sykes, you call the roll.
Okay. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is City Council Resolution 2021-065. Mr. Carolina, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, ratifying the mayor's extension of the state of emergency arising from the COVID-19 public health emergency period.
Is there a motion as City Council Resolution 2021-065?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of resolution number 2021-065.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I believe that the governor said today that we're going to be ending the state of emergency July 1, and I think it would be prudent for us to move back to the normal protocols and meeting back at City Hall in July.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Along with that, one of the things I think that came out of our state of emergency that changed a lot is what we were doing online. So now our meetings are, we're live streaming for lack of a better term. And also we're posting the meetings as well on YouTube. So I think it's, I don't know that we have to decide it today, but I do think that we need to have a discussion about if we're going to continue those services, because there is some cost associated. I'd be interested to hear Mr. Helfenberger's advocacy or non-advocacy. If we go before COVID, everything was live. You had to come to City Hall, but now our residents can stay home and they can watch us. So I think that's part of also getting back to normal, is we need to decide if we want to continue with the technology.
Right, and what the cost is and whether we want to do it
Yes, sir.
video or just audio, or how we want to do it. Maybe we could at least have a discussion about it at the next meeting. We don't have to necessarily make a final decision, but at least discuss it. Ms. Sykes, you call the roll.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Number 9 is City Council Resolution 2021-067. Mr. Carolina, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of the agreement titled Airport Coronavirus Relief Grant Program Grant Agreement, offered by the United States of America through the Federal Aviation Administration, awarding a maximum amount of $23,000.00 to the city, providing an expiration date for the grant, and providing an effective date, period.
Is there a motion on the City Council Resolution 2021-067?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve City Council Resolution number 2021-067.
Second.
Been a motion and a second, any discussion? Ms. Oxby, call the roll.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is City Council Resolution 2021-068. Mr. Carolina, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the acceptance of a county deed from Columbia County, Florida, for the parcel of property known as the Lusty Park and located within the municipal limits, period.
Is there a motion as City Council Resolution number 2021-068?
Mr. Mayor, I move for the approval of resolution number 2021-068. Second.
Been a motion and a second, any discussion? Ms. Oxby, call the roll, please.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
No.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Next is City Council Resolution 2021-069. Mr. Carolina, would you read that by title?
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of understanding with Florida Department of Law Enforcement for participate in the methamphetamine clandestine drug laboratory hazardous waste authorized central storage container program, period.
Is there a motion as City Council Resolution 2021-069?
Mr. Mayor, I would move for the adoption of City Council Resolution 2021-069.
Second it.
Been a motion and a second, any discussion? Ms. Oxby, call the roll.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Hill?
Yes.
Mr. Sampson?
Yes.
Mayor Witt?
Yes. Okay, then we have our add-on grant. Mr. Helfenberger, you wanna?
Sure. The city received award notice of a $2.3 million approximate grant through the EDA, U.S. Department of Commerce, for installing some fire suppression equipment in 2 of the hangars the city owns that HACO uses that would make them eligible for military and other contracts. There is the total cost of the work, and that's including some other work there, like some roof repair, is $3,020,675 with a $724,675 match. And the match is allowed to be made up through the community development block grants. And this would be made up, the match would then be paid for recognizing the grants that we would get through the block grant activity for additional hangars. Presently, the city is looking at $1.5 million for a community development block grant for economic development, and the county is also looking at a $1.5 million block grant for economic development to do additional hangar work to have them qualify for additional contracts. HACO would be required to pledge additional new jobs. So it would be a win-win for everybody. And in this particular case, there is no local money required to go forward with this grant. Now, I just found out about this. This is an emergency because I just found out about it today. It is due Friday, and I'm setting some procedures in place so that we will have good lines of communication with the with the county Economic Development Department that has been of big assistance in this. This was a joint city-county effort. The city is the recipient. We're also doing the city-county effort with the block grants and other different improvements throughout our community. So what you need to do is authorize the acceptance of the Financial Assistance Award, authorize the mayor to sign that, and then authorize the compliance with the EDA requirements and the mayor to sign that also, and those are both in your packet. We would look at following up with a formal resolution at a future city council meeting to memorialize this.
Mr. Fairline, we need to state in the motion that it is an emergency. That's correct.
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I've got a,
I'm gonna let you speak after we get the motion.
okay.
Okay? Did you want to make the motion?
I'll make the motion to authorize acceptance of the EDA grant and compliance with it, and that it's an emergency.
Okay,
Second.
got a motion and a second. Okay,
Thank you, Your Honor. I just have a question about the match. Somebody could turn the volume up a little bit better, too. Good, thanks. Did I understand, Mr. Helfenberger, that the match?
Match would have to be covered, but it would be covered with what would be acceptable is the grant funds for a block grant for economic development could be used in lieu of paying cash towards the match.
My question is, it appears that the city can't afford to pay the match right now. So are you suggesting that the city will use other grant money to pay the match? In other words, apply for other grants and then use
Yes,
that grant money? Just if I could finish the question, please.
Sure.
And use that grant money to pay off this grant?
Yes, for the local match, yes.
And do you know what grants you're going to use to gather the money to do that match?
Okay, it would be two block grants. It would be a community development block grant for economic development of 1.5 million that the city is applying for, and the 1.5 million that the county has applied for.
And that application says that that grant is to make the match for this grant? It's not 20 questions, I'm just trying to understand what's going
but
on.
there is, under the Code of Federal Regulations 300.3, the matching share may include funds from another federal agency.
So you're looking for federal money to make the match for this grant?
Yes.
And if you don't get that grant, because there's no guarantee that you'll get that.
we don't have to accept the grant either.
Right, but can the city, it's a good thing for the city, it's economic development. Can the city
Right.
come up with the money to meet it if you don't get these grants? Because you have to agree to this soon, right? This is a walk-on.
Well, not next day or two, but at some point, we'd have to accept the grant, and if we could do the match, we could always back
Right.
out of it.
So my question is then, if you don't get those other grants to pay for this grant,
We'll have to
which is a
look
little
into it.
weird in the first place, but if you can't do that,
We'll have to
can the city come up with the money to make the match on its own, or you just
That's
don't have the
what we'll have-
money?
That's what I think we'll have to look into.
Sir,
That's what we'll have to look into and see what we can do. Hopefully, we can do it with the grant money.
thank you very much, Your Honor.
Okay. Any other comments of council? Ms. Sykes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Sampson,
Yes.
Mr. Hill,
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mayor Witt.
Yes. Ms. Cheffenberg, anything under departmental administration?
I'm going to be going over to the county meeting this week, asking about them participating in the cleanup day for June 5th, and asking about waiving of the tipping fees. They may plan to participate if they decide to do that. I think the county and city will be well covered. Our cleanup day on June 5th will have hazardous materials drop off. It'll have roll-off containers for disposal of tires and non-food garbage. We'll have volunteers also helping to spruce up the Oak Lawn Cemetery. And we'll also have volunteers going around some of the ditches and shoulders of the roads that need it the most and picking up litter. It'll be from 8 to 5 on June 5th. And we're inviting any volunteers that would be interested to participate. We already have a number of groups that are very interested. One group is able to donate up to about 100 volunteers to help.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank Vice Mayor Green for covering for me last meeting, and did a good job.
I'm glad you're feeling better, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else for council?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I got a couple things, but first I want to thank Mike for giving me a tour of the Price Creek Water Plant and that facility. It's a fantastic facility. Our water's very safe. If you get an opportunity to take that tour, I would recommend it. You can see it operates with extreme efficiency, and it has capability to operate with a lot higher capacity. So that's an important thing. Secondly, our airport, I haven't seen any plans going forward on what we're doing to market the air park parcels, what we're doing for economic development in that area. I'd like to see that upcoming at a meeting. I was going to ask about the grant, but it came on tonight because I saw it was on the county's agenda. I'm unsure how we just found out today about it when it was on their agenda to go forward this Thursday last week. So I'm a little concerned about that. I have one other thing I want to mention right away is the scheduling of the workshop. I'm quite confused as to how our communication was so poor that we had the workshop scheduled for the 1st and the 15th when we met. We noticed it and then canceled it. My real concern there is the city had already scheduled me for training on the 8th, knowing that I could not attend a meeting on the 8th. And the reason I received from the clerk's office that it was canceled was that we had employees who could not make it. And then that Mr. Hill had a Unity event that he wanted it moved. And then when I asked Mr. Helfenberger about this directly, you said it was about the Unity event. You failed to mention the employee factor. Now, I've got a real concern when the city scheduled me something and then conflicts it with the meeting. So there's no communication here between the clerks and the manager's office in an acceptable level. That's going to change, and it's going to change immediately. I expect that when a schedule is made and it reflects a city council schedule, you should know that if a city council member has been scheduled something else by the city, you shouldn't conflict it. If an employee of the city can't make it, and that's why we're moving it, that's too bad. That's my comment on that. So the meeting this week, I will be unable to attend due to another city obligation already put in place. As to why it moved, that I have no idea other than the two conflicting reports. Mr. Hill, did you make a mention to Mr. Helfenberger to move the meeting?
No, I didn't.
So
There was one other thing. There's Phil Mogley was complaining about congestion over at the Richardson Community Center. He had an event scheduled for the exact same time.
that was never communicated. So I want clear communication. I think that's something we're going to have going forward. That leads me to my last item. So as far as communication, we had a key employee walk out and quit, the IT director. Now, I don't know if you are aware, but just recently we had a major breakdown of our IT department before this last IT director, and we lost big time, and we still haven't recovered all our documents. I'm really concerned where an employee of that level walks out and just quits, and I don't think it's communicated properly to the level. I think we should know, why did she quit? We need to be communicated with a full report on this matter so we understand what went on. I would like to see the employee's resignation letter, and I think she should be asked to address this council so we can hear why she left. In addition, I understand that we hired a new IT director without posting the position, and it's an employee who had just resigned via email, which I had received not even the week before. So how did we get an email saying someone had resigned and now they're IT director? I don't expect you to answer this today, but I think by the next meeting, we need a full report on it. And I think at this point, that's all I have. Oh, one other item, if I may, Mayor, one more thing. I'm sorry. The mega industrial park is in the master plan. I know that Jamie spoke at the last meeting and mentioned that that wasn't a part, but we do have her in the email verifying that that is included. I think we need to make sure that the county understands that that is included.
Okay.
I'm done.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that came out Saturday for the Unity Day. I think it was a great success with all that was going on. I'd like to thank Mr. Jefferson, City Manager, Mr. Coberline for coming out. We had some dignitaries come out. We had Commissioner Williams show up. Mr. John Durant, he came out. We even had the mayor from White Springs, one of the council ladies from White Springs showed up. We even had a council commissioner from Palatka to come out. And I want you to mark your calendars, the first Saturday in May 2022, Unity Day, next year. And I hope everybody that's able to come will come. And that's all I have.
I will put on my calendar next year. I couldn't this year. But I did speak with Mr. Hill because I was concerned about him trying to put on his program and us having a conflict. And I knew about Mr. Mobley having his, and I just thought there was too much going on. I wasn't aware of your conflict, so I apologize if any of it was my fault. But we do need to communicate better, and I will work on all that. Anything else? All right, then we'll be adjourned.